Hey guys, it's me Z, doing a good old deck profile. This is the deck I took to 2017 Autumn Fest in Huddersfield. Yeah. How did I do? I did okay. I did 4 wins, 3 losses. Well, technically 2 losses. One of them was a bit. I'll get into detail with that later, and maybe someone can help me find out who that guy was because I didn't really find out his name. But this is the deck I took. I took good old Arusha. And as I am aware, after doing the whole scouting around seeing what people are playing, I was the only Great Nature player there. Unless there was someone I didn't see, I was the only Great Nature player there. And if not, and if someone knew what other Great Nature player was there, oh my god, please tell me, because I was the only Great Nature player there, and I was a little gutted about it. However, I did manage to stop a lot of people in their tracks with this deck alone. Like, fair enough, I just realised I haven't got this all in order, but I don't need it in order. Why don't I need it in order? Because who needs order? Like, seriously. Right, anyway, we'll get in with the deck first. So, I'm gonna completely confuse everyone here, and my starter is Gifted Bear. There's a reason I use Gifted Bear is because I do run both copies of Honorary Professor, Cat Savage, and Honorary Professor and Noir in this deck. So he comes in handy if I need it. Also, he's a good retire target if I have Duckbill or Micah Saburium in my hand. And he's just there just to be a troll. He does come in handy, so if anyone argues with me, they can basically drop dead. So we'll jump into the grade 3s. My main grade 3, Arusha. I like this guy on Break Ride. Unless you've seen my other Arusha build, this is basically 2.0 of Arusha. I took out the whole crazy Compass Lion stuff and combo in this deck because, to be fair, it didn't really stand up to much these days anyway. So I basically went with a pure aggro build for him or her or whatever you want to call it. So yeah, Arusha is my main man. He's a Generation Break 1 success 25k, discard a card to stand him when he's success, which is really cheap for a restander, especially if you're on Break Ride turn because you're drawing like 7 cards if you're lucky. His second skill does come in handy. I get to give a 4k to a rear guard, and it's not once per turn, which is great, so when I restand him I can do it twice. Fair enough, I can't give him triggers. That is the only downside to him, his skill. But his restanding skill's good enough. Like, getting multiple attacks against my opponent, I don't really need to stick triggers or power onto him. He's just there to swing and hope to get certain triggers in this deck. So, obviously him. Like I said, I run Break Ride because Break Ride Arusha is the only way you can play Arusha effectively. Unless someone's figured out another way of playing him. But to be fair, the Break Ride basically helps out a lot. So yeah, lots of draw power, lots of power on my attack, especially the combo I have going, which is like a good 8 attacks, which I call the 8 Lessons of Great Nature. So sad, I know. Now, Cat Savage. Why do I run Cat Savage, you may ask? Well, I can't remember what round it was, but I played against a Sevenseas player, and it wasn't until that day, the Saturday, I was reading his skill thinking, oh, maybe there's something I could do with him in the tournament before I write him down in my deck list. So I found out that you can actually stride when your opponent's on grade 1 by break riding with this over Cat Noir. So when I went against a Sevenseas player, this won me the game. And like, I had someone sit a grade 2 against me. I broke right into this because this was in my hand at the time. And he called out for an early rush. He had 2 cards in hand, and I got him to 3 damage. And then I strode into this. I had 4 damage myself. I had Crayon Tiger, I had my rabbit, and some boosters, and I had a good 6 attacks out, and he died. And he couldn't do anything, and it was brilliant. Cat Savage is definitely a savage unit in this deck. So as I said, Crayon Tiger, because Crayon Tiger is just too good to run. Well, too good not to run, I should say. On boost, kind of +1, stand unit 4k, retire it. Oh, it's pretty stupid. So yeah, the MVP of the deck is still Anchor Rabbit. Anchor Rabbit is amazing because if I have a trigger that goes to the soul, give it 3k. I give this to 3k. If I got a 7k boost, it becomes 19. No, 18. Yes, it comes 18, and then break ride skill gives it 4k. 22 makes it gives it its skill when it's 20k success. Cannon Blast 1 and stand it. Its second skill is Cannon Blast 1. This should get boost, but I never use that unless I get 2 of them, and then I've got that, which is handy. But yeah, that's very handy. This is like the key card in my deck, and not many people saw it coming either, because as far as I'm aware, I must be the only person that plays it this way. If not, then fair enough to everyone else. But I as soon as Arusha hit out, this came straight into the deck, and I've been playing Arusha as soon as he was. I got him a lot earlier, before he was like officially released. I managed. I don't know. I think there was just a couple on eBay, and I was like, yes, I got to grab them, and I did. So I did. I still run Binoculars Tiger because Binoculars Tiger is great. Like I said, when you're running the starter, you can say get your grade 3s that you want. You can drop a Savage for a break ride. Then you give this 4k if you really want to, or so if you've got Duckbill, retire it and draw, or you've got Micah Saburo, etc. for more grade 3s. So yeah, he's handy. I like him. I won't ever replace him out of a deck. He's just too fun. Then I run the 2 copies of Panther for Honorary Professor. He has come in handy a few times in a tournament. He definitely won me a game against Nubatama. Technically won a game against Nubatama. Like I said, I'll explain that at the end of the video. So yeah, just the extra draw was what I needed, and not only that, when I retired things, when he called it and attacked, all he had to do was use its skill. But because he couldn't give it to a unit in the same column because it's not in his column, or some ruling retarded shit like that. So he couldn't do it, but it was just great because I believe when did choose up? Yeah, choose up to one of your. Oh, choose up to. Okay, so he chose it anyway. He chose one of my rear guards and gave me a draw like a twat. But I think he was trying to get the power for dominate, but still. So it's just he comes in handy. And he's not generation break, so if I'm on break ride and my opponent's on grade 2, I can still be dirty. Grade 1s, 3 stride enablers, because striding is essential in this deck. I run 4 unflip nulls, because I don't actually need this nullify. I can probably get away running the success nullify, but I don't run enough success units in this deck in order for it to be effective. So the unflip nullify is basically the best option I've got. I could always run the Handscape Nullify, I call it, the Try with a Cat, but I like my unflips, because you never know if you need to unflip. I run Micah Saburo, and this is what killed me at Nats. I have 2 copies of each, so writing it down the list was bullshit. So, searches your grade, gives a unit a skill when it's retired. Search your deck for a grade 3 and add it to your hand. So, I like it. It comes in handy. Especially if I, need those grade 3s in hand. And then 3 Duckbill, because Duckbill can get me those draws nice and early if I need it. Because, Duckbill. Everyone stopped using Duckbill because he's pretty much useless in Big Belly deck now, but hey, whatever. Now, my trigger lineup is 4 critical. Yeah, 4 critical. For a Grey Nature deck, which a lot of people run either 8 or 12. In my Big Belly deck is 12, in my Fox is 12. In this, it's 4. Because just crits are crits, really. And I preferred vanilla crits rather than effect crits. But when it comes to effect triggers, I run 4 of the elephant, and I run 4 skunk. Now, the essential stand trigger here is the skunk, because it gives 3k and goes into the soul. Soul doesn't really matter, but just 3k alone. Elephant, I only used because it was the only other stand trigger I got. I managed to get hold of some alpacas, which, made my life a lot happier, but I didn't use them because I already wrote Water Elephant down. So, which was, it came in a lot handier than I thought, because I had those turns where it's like, okay, I'm going to have to first stride into this, but it was the only copy in my hand and I don't really want to lose it. So, I called this down and it did its ability. I called it to the back row where it wouldn't be poked. And I didn't go against anything that would retire apart from that Nubatama deck. So yeah, stand triggers and 8 stand triggers, because Getting stand triggers while you're on Arusha and on Break Ride is absolutely mental. You can do more than 8 attacks if you're lucky. And then I just run 4 average hill triggers because the hill trigger from the Fights collection, I would run it, but there are times I need to call a trigger out for just that bit of a boost, and I'd rather run a 5k than a 4k because, you know, 13 is still a good number. Now the G zone. I'm trying to remember how I would present the G zone because I had an issue with the G zone, to be fair, but it's because I never used any of it. So we'll go into Kaf Palug first. Kaf Palug was the first stride I went into a lot more than I would Hemithorus here. Hemithorus is normally my go-to, but if I don't have anything to play with, I go into this guy and then I just get the draw power rather than the power and a draw. Because I can, if they rush me as well. So Hemithorus and Kaf Palug always a good little stand-in. Another stride I went into that won me a game because I was, you know, I was just in one of those situations where I didn't know what to do. So I do run the Honorary Professor stride at 4. I love him. He's so good, but he's so situational, and you need to have the right field up and hand to play him. So he's in there at 4 because I rarely ever use my stride zone. My game ending happens on my break ride turn, so which is, you know, good old fashioned way. Managama, if I want to be a deck, I do only run 2 copies in this deck because I only see it good at 2 in this deck alone. Because if I go into this, you're dead. If I go into break ride, you're gonna die. So comes in handy. I run a Funk for the whole reason of, well, I want to say Narakami, but Narakami can still bypass this, which pisses me off. Kagero was one of my main concerns, but no one played Kagero there, so that was a bit of a disappointment. Or if someone played Sharok, but played the whole old Sharok grade 3 with a new stride that restood, but I never saw it. Finyagez, just basically to fill this thingy, it was just reasons. I run the GB8, which I could have got into, but I ended my opponent by accidentally triple critting with only 3 crits in deck. Well, at the time, I should say. So I was planning on this guy to see if I can actually use him effectively, but he's like the worst GB8 ever. I can't even see him ever being used like fully in a deck. But he's just he's in there for the spot. Seabreeze, which, believe it or not, I actually never got to use because my opponents were like quite wary. There was one guy that went through my G zone and I had to call a judge over. He basically got told off to stop going through it because as soon as he saw this, his blaster play was completely ruined because he was sitting there and he was like, I only run like 2 grade 3s. I'm like, oh, I wonder why, because he was playing the whole blaster grade 2 rush like a complete moron. But yeah, and I absolutely destroyed him. G-Guards, doesn't really matter how I play the G-Guards. I have 2 of Kundalini because Kundalini is like a good unflipper if I need it. I played this, which basically stopped my opponent from being a dick to me. I managed to use this, Guard, Soul Blast, Crayon Tiger and a booster. Couldn't be hit. So even if they attacked it, it wouldn't be retired. And then good old 10k shield. Oh, plus 10, I should say. Because it's good. So, indeed, that will be the assumption deck list I have for Arusha. So, guys, tell me what? I'm drunk. Let me know what you think. If you actually fought me in the Autumn Fest 2017 Nationals in Huddersfield, let me know, and let me know what you thought of the deck. Now, before I finish the video, I'll go through what I played against. My first game was Blasters. I don't know if the kid knew what he was doing. Like, he had a good field setup, but I did triple stand him for game, and I felt really bad for that. I am sorry if you ever get to see this video. My second game was Nubatama, which was the worst part of my day, to be fair, because the game got hit down as a null and void. What happened was I was winning. I was doing my good old win. He managed to guard everything on my break ride turn, but I had 20, I think it was like 21 cards in hand, and I had plenty of deck left. Like I had a good 12, 13 cards in deck just sitting there because I didn't go into much draw heavy early game. And I counted I double checked his drop zone, his damage, his soul. He had a trigger on the field, and as he was doing his whole domination thing, the best thing about it was I didn't really need to worry because I just, like I said, I'd go into he'd dominate all of my rear guards. I'd use this and retire all of them. But I had to get a judge over. I don't know if it's an official rule, but a judge allowed this to work because apparently when a dominated unit is dominated, it's my opponent's unit, not mine. However, I got ruled to by a judge to say I can use the skill as the units are on my side, so and they are still my units or something like that. So that's how I don't know if it was just a complete mistake, but however, I got away with it. I even got a judge to come over, so I didn't cheat in any way. Now, the true cheating of this is I counted 15 triggers out of the guy's deck. I don't remember what he looks like. Well, I remember what he looks like. I just don't remember his name. But he got disqualified. Because when I was like, okay, I'm at 3 damage. He's not going to do much to me because I healed a lot. When on my drive checks, I think I got 2 heals, a crit, and a stand when I restood Arusha. So I sacked like a bitch. Oh, he guarded it still. But so I was like, I'll take it. I'll no guard. He went crit, stand, and that piqued my interest because I was like, I counted 15 cards, and then he wouldn't let me look at his drop zone again. He wasn't letting me do anything. So I had to call the judge over. This lovely lass came over. I don't know. I don't know what his problem was. He wasn't even cooperating with the judge, and when he was being quite insultive, okay, I was being a bit smirky back. I was calling it as like, well, you know, you're playing Nubatama, one of the strong decks out at the moment, and you still need to cheat like this. So you know, fair enough. I said things like that because of my reaction to him doing this. Even though I called a judge over and it was ruled out that he cheated, and he was disqualified there and then after his big ranting and him leaving. I took a loss because I spoke back in the middle of a situation, and I completely agree. It was so wrong of me to say that I could have edged him to being a lot more aggressive, but it just slipped out. Really, I'm not going to say it was by accident. I genuinely, it was just something I said, and I said it because I'd like to speak my mind. That's how I do my thing. So that was my first loss, and it wasn't official loss. However, I said I'll just take it. I'm not going to argue. I offered the guy I could play another game. The judges were nice enough to say we can give you an extra 5 minutes to play the game as well. But no, he didn't want any of it because as if he changed his deck up. We gave him 2 options. He didn't like it, so yeah. So if the Nubatama guy, if you ever see this video, you are an absolute bloody moron. I'm not fussed that I lost. Just don't cheat with Nubatama. Like, it's really good. Not the best. It didn't top, fair enough, but it's a strong deck. It's definitely one to worry about. It can shut down my Crayon Tiger. That's what I hate the most. Sometimes it can. So yeah, my third game. What was my third game? It was Demiurge. No, was it Demiurge? No, what was my third game? I remember my fourth. What was my third? Oh, my third was Luard. No, was it? No, it was Gear Chronicle, sorry. Wow, my brain. I had so many free games in the middle of them. So, Gear Chronicle, I played against him. The guy was really, really close to losing. And I was like, there's me at 5 damage. He attacks me. I couldn't really guard. I got 2 heals. I'm like, oh yeah. Sitting there like proper balling. I was so concentrated on getting my attacks out. I had 2 cards in deck and I strode. And I didn't think about it. And my opponent trolled me. Was like, "Hey, I'll use this Hetra around and spin it to the bottom." I'm like, "Oh damn." So I lost there because of my mistake of not watching. So I was on 2-2, which was pretty average, pretty cool. I quite like that. My fourth game was against a good friend, Mike from Brighton. He played Tachikaze. That was the best game I have ever had in a full national. I tried my hardest. I was in full out focus mode, and I always have fun when I play against him. I used to play against him in my old locals. He's a really good guy. Definitely a good player. He has had a history of losing to my Arusha deck before, and and he got his payback, which is fair. Which left me to my third loss. So that was me out for second day, but I wasn't going to give up. I wanted to continue. So my next game after that was, what was it? Oh, I played against a Nover Grappler deck. What was that? Oh god, I'm trying to remember. Oh, Sevenseas. I played against Sevenseas. Was my fifth round. I absolutely smashed the guy. He tried to sit in grade 1. I'm like, okay, cool. Honorary Professor Cat Savage, skill, discarded grade 3 of Honorary Professor. Stride into Calf Palug. You put me to 5 damage, bro. You're gonna die. And not only that, I had a stand. I called a rabbit. Stand trigger. 3k hit. I called a crit. Not crit. Sorry. Called Duckbill. Called Micah Saburo. Skill here. Called Crayon Tiger. He was dead. He had 3 cards in hand and he was dead. There was nothing he could do. And he was like, Sevenseas got hit pretty hard. I'm like, well, I don't know why he's still playing them. But yeah, that was a good game. And then I managed to sneak a win in the 6th round against a Nover Grappler guy. Bit of a weeb, I'd admit. A bit of a weeb. And I wanted to cry. But that's fine. It was a nice guy. It was a nice guy anyway. And then my 7th round was no one. My 7th round was no one. I sat down, ready to play. He didn't turn up, and I got the win, which was disappointing. I don't like it when people are like, "Oh, we lost. I'm not going to second day. Let's not continue." Play for fun, dude. Especially if you're playing a new kind of deck. If you're playing a new deck, play lots, and just have fun. Because to be fair, when I lost my 3rd game. The players I played against after that was just loads of fun. Like, I didn't come across a single try hard at that point, which I don't mind playing against try harders. I just like to put them in a place with Arusha, which is fun, because Arusha is definitely, I think, one of the strongest Great Nature decks you can play at the moment. But yeah, and that was it really. That's my road to misery. At Autumn Fest 2017 Huddersfield. So thank you guys for watching. Also, I double checked with the judges. I was the only Great Nature player there, as far as they were aware. And I can't remember her name. I'm not trying to sound rude. She was transgender or transvestite, or somewhere in that area. Even she was like, oh my god, really? I'm like, yeah. So that was cool. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video, which will be hopefully this Saturday of a box opening of GBT 12. So see you guys then.